Hi guys, Darth Deuces here back with another Star Wars: The Black Series action figure review. Continuing on with the Walmart exclusive Bad Batch wave, I've got Wrecker, who was kind of a surprise figure. I was surprised that there's so much new tooling going on. I mean, there's a decent amount of reuse from the first figure, but there's also a decent amount of new tooling that I was not expecting, so that's pretty cool. And yeah, I really like this figure a lot. It was really well done. And it's actually kind of funny. He's in the deluxe size packaging, but he is actually priced the same as the rest of the figures, which is still the inflated exclusive price point, but it is actually cheaper than deluxe price point. So that's kind of nice, I guess. Um, but yeah, let's just get right into it. I don't have any of his accessories on him or anything. Take a look at the head sculpt first. This is straight up reuse from the first release, which makes sense. Their facial features did not change at all. And I think this looks really good. I think the face print on this, I think might be a little cleaner than the original one. They're both pretty good. It's a little hard to decide. I will say he does got a bit of a glossy face going on. It's not too bad, but it is a little noticeable. But everything looks good. I do wish there's maybe a little more detail put into the scarring to make it a little more noticeable, but it's still sculpted there, looks good. The lips and the eyes the eyebrows are all cleanly printed. Looks pretty good. I like the expression. It looks good. Not much else to say. The torso piece, actually the entire torso, but also this torso overlay is all actually new sculpting. I was expecting this top torso piece at the very least to be just repainted, but it's actually a whole new sculpt. It's got this whole new a lower bit to it where he's wearing like a shirt underneath or something, or a vest or something. And then you have the piece up top here. So that's actually pretty cool. And you got a fair amount of paint going on with the orange markings and whatnot. And then this lower torso piece is all brand new as well. And he also has a new belt piece, which is painted pretty nicely, actually. It's got a lot of nice painted details on the belt, the buckles, and all the little cylinders and whatnot he's got on there. The shoulder pads are also actually both new sculpt. I was wondering if maybe this was reused. It's actually not. The old one doesn't have this little orange, where this painted orange doesn't have this little extra bit here, and then this shoulder pad is completely new. They all look pretty good. But then the rest of the arms, as far as I can tell, are all reuse. Just repainted, but it looks nice. Works well. And then, as far as I can tell, I do believe the entirety of each leg is they're both complete reuse. I think that's fairly accurate, and the paint is pretty clean, looks nice, so I do like that a lot. And yeah, just a good looking Season 2 Wrecker. Not much else to say. I think they did a really good job. He's got a lot more new sculpting than I was expecting, and all the paints, for the most part, I think looks pretty good. Articulation-wise, dumbbell joint in the base of the neck and the head. He looks up actually quite a bit, looks down a fair bit, pivots a lot, rotation. Hinges at the shoulders. He does have the sandwiched O-ring shoulder pads. They will rotate with the shoulder. There is a butterfly joint in there. There's a little bit of movement, nothing too crazy though. Single hinges at the elbows that move past 90 and rotate, as well as swivels at the wrist, the up and down wrist at the trigger hand, and an in and out wrist at his normal kind of holding hand. Torso joint goes back a bit, crunches forward an okay amount, pivots a little bit and rotates. Hip joints, they kick all the way out. Quite a big spread. Swivel cuts at the armor part of the thigh, so it hides it pretty nicely. Single hinges at the knees that go just slightly past 90, and then hinges the ankles that move up a decent amount, move down a fair amount, and ankle pivot, or ankle rocker for pivot. So great articulation, pretty much exactly the same as Season 1. So you can get this guy in a lot of really great poses. In terms of accessories, he comes with the same array of accessories that the original Deluxe came with, but there is one difference. But first off, you do get his backpack. It is just repainted and reused. As far as I know, that's accurate, although I'm not 100% sure, but it just tabs in onto the back there. Goes on pretty securely. I'd even say maybe a little more securely than the first release did. So that looks pretty good. He also does come with his helmet. It is repainted, of course, to be more accurate to his Season 2 look. Excuse me. Actually don't like this design of the helmet as much as the Season 1. The Season 1 has a lot more detail and different little things going on with it. This one is a little like cleaner looking, a bit plainer looking. I'm not as big of a fan, but it is still nice. It comes with it. Mine it is slightly warped out of the packaging, but it does fit on his head. No problem. Looks pretty good. And just like with the first figure, if you want to, you can just kind of prop it on top of his head like he does in the show sometimes, and that works just as well. So that's nice. Does come with the same big knife that the first figure came with. It's just he's got a lighter colored hilt and a more like a bluish silver coloring for the blade, but it's pretty much the same. It's nice. He holds it well. He also has a sheath for it. When I put it in, though, I had it in there for a few days, and taking it out, it got really tight. I don't know if it's like the paint sticking or something, but yeah, you might want to be aware of that because I can actually tell. There's a little brown scuff I don't remember being on the blade there, so it might take the paint off. I'm not sure. But it does slide in there nice and securely. It is not falling out. And then his last accessory, he does come with his blaster rifle, but they did something pretty cool, and it's actually an upsized version of the Commando blaster we've been getting. The first deluxe release just came with the same size Commando blaster that all the Commandos have been coming with, and a common criticism of those blasters is that they're too small even for the standard figures. So we now have a bigger version, just for Wrecker, just to make it so it doesn't look absolutely tiny in his hands. And I think actually in the show, he actually does have a bigger version of this gun in the show. So it's nice they did this. As far as I can tell, it's literally the same sculpt, just upsized. But it looks really nice. It's very stiff plastic, so it's not going to warp or anything on you. And aside from the grip being pretty big, it actually scales really well with the more standard sized figures. It would be nice if they just adopted this one for all the Commandos they do going forward. But he can hold that in his trigger hand nice and securely, no problem. But a cool feature, just like in the show, he can actually store his rifle on his side. There's this little plastic strap, it just untabs. And all you gotta do is, slot the gun in there. Oh, this is looking harder than it is. That's actually not that hard. It just tabs into this little, like, armor plate piece on his thigh there, hanging from the belt, and then there you go. You have the blaster stored on his hip, which I think is a super cool feature. Having weapon storage for that is great. So yeah, overall, he's a really good figure. A lot more new than I was expecting. Some cool features, some cool upgrades, the accessories and whatnot. I really like this Wrecker figure a lot, very much so. I wasn't expecting to like it as much as I do, if I'm being honest. But quick comparisons. Here he is with the Season 1 Bad Batch Wrecker. So you can kind of see the differences. I'll put the helmet on. You can kind of see the differences there. See the different shoulder pad and whatnot. I will say I'm kind of missing this silver battle damage paint that the first deluxe had. But it's not too big of a deal. Yeah, looks pretty good. I'm actually, the left shoulder pads are so similar, but they're just ever so slightly different sculpts. I'm actually really surprised they made a new sculpt for that left shoulder pad. They're so similar, I probably wouldn't have complained if they just repainted it. But I do appreciate a whole new sculpt. I will take their helmets off. Try to take Wrecker's helmet off without wrecking what's going on here. And you can kind of get an idea of the different face sculpts. I do think the new one's better. I think the new one is just a little less glossy looking than the old one. I think the new one has a bit of a better skin tone going on. The details, the printed details, I think are a bit sharper. The only thing I'll say is I feel like the blinded eye on the old one looks a little more natural than on the new one, but it's a little more subtle. But overall, I do like the new one, I think, better. But yeah, let's move old Wrecker out of the way. And just here he is next to the other members of the squad. I'll straighten up Wrecker, but he's kind of leaned over. Oh, the members of the member squad that I have. I don't have Echo. But yeah, he looks really great with the other figures in the wave. So overall, I think this is a really good figure. If you are planning to get all of the Season 2 figures, and obviously he's a must-get, you're going to want to get all of them, I suspect. He's definitely a really solid one, though. I'm really happy with the new sculpted pieces. They've definitely put a bit more effort in this figure than I was really expecting to put into it. If you're not planning to get the whole squad, There might not be any reason to get them, but yeah, overall, I'm very pleased with this figure and definitely recommend them if you're interested. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know what you think down in the comments below, and I'll see you all in the next video. May the Force be with you.